call the September 23rd meeting of the Mexico City Council to order.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th, 2019, regular session?
So moved. Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we'd like to open up, we have a motion to open up the public hearing.
So
To
moved.
consider a change to sanitary sewer use charge rates.
So moved.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Mr. Slater?
Yes, as a part of the budget, we had talked about how we would adjust the rates, and we need to hold the public hearing to do so. To cover the public hearing details, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
She's not here. Just move on.
According to state statute, when we make an adjustment to our sanitary sewer rates, we have a public hearing, and that notice was actually put in the paper 30 days prior to this public hearing, which again meets state statute. A notice of the public hearing was advertised in the Mexico Ledger on August 14th, 2019. The hearing is for the purposes of discussing a rate increase proposal of approximately 3% as follows. The user charge portion would move from $1.26 per 1,000 gallons to $1.30. The capital charge portion would go from $5.32 per 1,000 gallons to $5.53, and the base rate of $9.09 would remain the same. An example monthly sewer fee based on the change in rate based on 5,000 gallons would go from a current billing of $41.99 to a proposed billing of $43.24, a $1.25 increase on a monthly basis. As a little bit of background, the city in 2008 retained the engineering services of Horner and Schifrin out of St. Louis, Missouri to complete a capital asset analysis and facility plan on the city's wastewater treatment operation. The facility plan outlined an estimated $12,461,400 in capital improvements. Following Horner and Schifrin's Incorporated's presentation, Municipal and Financial Services Group reviewed with council a multi-year financial projection of wastewater rates required to cover costs associated with operations, maintenance, and the upcoming capital projects. On August 4th of 2009, voters approved through a bond election sewer system revenue bonds in the amount of $16 million by a margin of 10-1. Later that month, City Council approved by ordinance an amendment to update sanitary sewer use rates, allowing for the funding mechanism to get phases 1 and 2 of listed improvements, and have since then completed those improvements, and now capital outlays continue to be identified. In keeping with updated financial projections presented to council and the public, a scheduled sewer rate adjustment is required to provide adequate financial resources for debt service and continued improvements to the wastewater treatment facility and collection system. I have a brief PowerPoint again for the public's information on how we come up with identifying what rate we need to have on our user fees in order to pay for cost of maintenance, capital improvements, and reserves for future improvements. Rate adjustment considerations included for the sanitary sewer operations take the following expenditures into consideration: O&M, daily operations and maintenance of equipment; cash-funded capital outlays, plant structures, collection system, vehicles, and equipment; debt service obligations, payment on the revenue bonds, such as the ones that we issued back in 2010 and 2011; repair, renewal, and replacement reserves. Although it's difficult to read on the screen here, the column that I'm going to talk a little bit about is the one highlighted in blue, which is our fiscal year 2020 anticipated capital improvements. We're looking at capital improvements at $796,000, again, nearly $800,000 for next year, all paid with cash. $300,000 of that would be going toward our slip lining. The city has, and the wastewater operation has, put into the slip lining work approximately $1,045,000 since 2015. And again, we're placing another $300,000 toward that effort next year. A couple of other major improvements, capital outlays over the last 3 or 4 years totaling $830,000 include the wastewater facility generator and the new aeration blowers for the aeration system. And of course, this fiscal year, we expended $196,000 for the purchase of a new jet truck. Overall, those 3 categories alone have added up to a little over $2 million over the last few years since 2015, and all of those have been able to be paid for in cash.
Your screen's smaller than our eyes.
Okay.
This year's capital that he talked about.
You can read the file.
I'm catching up. I've
No, that's
got
fine.
to be on the radio tomorrow. I want to make sure I get
Okay.
what you're talking about. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
My contact.
And of course, then we project on out, which is fluid in nature, what we anticipate spending in capital projects moving forward. We also spoke about the need to be able to cover our annual debt service. In 2020 fiscal year, we have a debt service of approximately $777,000.
Hey,
As you-
Roger?
Yes.
Could you just go back a second?
Sure.
Okay. I was seeing there where the bottom there where this year's $796,000, and then the projected outlays are going down a little bit for the next. You have those numbers going down a little bit for the next few years. Am I reading that right?
That is correct. But I can assure you there will be some things that come up that aren't in there yet. We are, of course, in the works of a facility plan now, which Horner & Schifrin has kind of given us an update of where we are, where we're at, and where we need to be in the future. So,
Okay. So it's like a year at a time. Let's see what happens type thing.
it is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. As mentioned earlier, our annual debt service is $777,000 for next year. And since 2015 through about fiscal year 2025, you can see that number is fairly consistent, anywhere from $785,000 to $773,000. These numbers you will find in the budget book, which you have. We are looking at total budget expenditures, page 70 of the 2020 budget, of $3,341,322. That does include a project reserve of $80,000 just in case something comes up that we don't anticipate. Total budgeted revenue per the page 70 of the 2020 budget, $3,266,821. If we were to use that project reserve and all the other anticipated expenditures, that would pull down our cash reserve by about $74,000. And of course, if we do not use the project reserve, then it's basically a break even. A little bit of history on our wastewater rate projections. Going back to fiscal year 13, we had a rate adjustment of 10%, in 14, 10%, or excuse me, 13 was 12%, 14, 10%, 3% in 15, 2% in 16, 3% in 17, 3% again in 18, a little bit of a blend last year, again, an average of about 3%, and we're going that same route again this year. And that's where we would have on a user of about 5,000 gallons per month, a rate going from $41.99 to $43.24 as far as a monthly bill.
So is this what the average user is, 5,000 gallons?
Yeah. You will see, a family of 2, you may see 3,000, a family of 3, 4,500 to 5,000, and it just depends on how conservative they are with their water use. It could be someone that waters a lot of things outside, which again, our bill is based on their water bill. A family of 6 or 7, of course, naturally would be higher. We did a recent survey comparing our anticipated bill based on the new rates compared to 15 other communities. Our Mexico proposed rate is the second one to the right from the far left-hand side. There's that rate of $43.24. You can tell by the bar graph we're basically right in the mix with towns that are similar in size, such as Fulton, Hannibal, Marshall. We are less than what Moberly currently charges. Then others you will see where there's quite a disparity between the bar graph and let's call it gold or yellow versus the blue, and that is where you will see the election to charge the non-residential customers a higher rate than the residential customers. But in a lot of cases, if you take those and kind of divide it by 2, you come back to our rate of about the $43.24. So there's a couple ways that you can price it. As you can see, Columbia, Sedalia, Osage Beach, and Wentzville tend to place a little bit more of that cost on the non-residential versus the residential, therefore keeping the residential rates down. This is one of the covenants, rate covenant within our bond agreements. The city, in accordance with the subject to applicable legal requirements, will fix, establish, maintain, and collect such rates and charges for the use and services furnished by or through the system as will produce revenues sufficient to pay the expenses of the system, pay the principal and interest on the bonds, and when the same become due at the maturity thereof or any interest payment date, and enable the city to have in each fiscal year net revenues not less than 110% of the debt service requirements for such fiscal year. And we have been able to meet that percentage requirement every year since we first put out the revenue bonds back in 2010. It does note in the bottom highlighted in yellow, if we placed our rates in such a fashion that we could not cover that 110% coverage on the bonds, then it says that we would need to hire a consultant to get us to adjust the rates so that we would reach that 110% coverage on the debt service. So we make sure each year when we come to the council with a rate requirement or a rate adjustment that we will meet indeed that 110% debt service coverage. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any questions from the public? Have a motion?
Motion to go back to close. Second.
Yes. Yes.
Nichols? Miller?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes. Okay, first order of business. 2 readings by title only and passed. Bill number 2019-66, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 4160A of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. We've had the public hearing, so unless you have any additional questions, we'd recommend you proceed with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance, and that the ordinance has been posted its required length of time.
I move for the reading of bill number 2019-66. Second.
Briggs?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Bill number 2019-66, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40-160A of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. I move for second reading of bill number 2019-66. Second.
Briggs?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Bill number 2019-66, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40-160A of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. I move for passage of bill number 2019-66.
Second.
Briggs?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes. Okay, resolution by title only and passage, bill number 2019-67, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with various organizations for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. The Tourism Commission has met and has some recommendations for funding for you. And to cover those recommendations, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
The Mexico Tourism Commission met on the dates of August 20th and September 17th, and as part of those meetings, reviewed applications for tourism funding and recommends to City Council the distribution of funds as follows. The first request was from the Chamber of Commerce for $575, and the amount recommended is for $575. This will be for 4 light boards to be placed at the Mexico Memorial Airport, which will not only give a history about the airport, will also list activities that are going on in the community so that when people fly in, they'll be able to kind of know what's going on, what things there are to do. Dana Keller with the Chamber was successful in getting 4 shadow boxes donated from the Mexico Tourism Center, which was previously located in Kingdom City. So the funds are to actually do the graphics and design for those displays that will go in those shadow boxes. The Presser Hart Center will have their 2019 fall programming, which includes 2 performances, 7 nights total. One will be Dracula, running from October 25th to October 31st. The other, Elf the Musical, running December 6th to the 8th and December 13th through the 15th. They requested $4,700 for advertising. The commission recommends $4,000. And last year, the Presser Arts Center requested $4,700, and $4,000 was granted, and they expended $3,465. And then finally, Missouri Life Magazine. This would be for their 2019-2020 publication. The amount requested is $12,968, and the amount recommended is $12,968. This is a 4% adjustment in pricing as compared to last year. Staff recommends that Council concur with the Mexico Tourism Commission's recommendation and proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution. Be glad to answer any questions.
Pleasure of the board.
I move for reading of Bill number 2019-67 by title only.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2019-67, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with various organizations for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. I move for passage.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Okay, appointments to various boards and commissions. Mr. Slagle.
Okay, we will take these individually, and the first one we have is the Audrain Library, Mexico Audrain County Library Board. Karen Mossman, Steve Sims, terms expire July 2019. Both have expressed interest for reappointment. You also received one today to be considered also as Matthew Robinette for the library board. This is a 3-year term. It'd be council's direction on who to appoint.
I move we appoint Karen Mossman and Steve Sims to reappoint them to the Audrain County Library Board. Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
The next is the Mexico Airport Advisory Board. There's a vacancy on the board, which expires October of 2021. Jim Curtis has expressed interest in serving on the board. We've not received any other applicants, so we would recommend Jim Curtis to the unexpired term of ending October of 2021.
I move we appoint Jim Curtis to the Airport Board, Advisory Board.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Next is the Planning and Zoning Commission. Helen Fenlon and Brian Gruber's term expired July of 19. Both have expressed interest in reappointment. We have not received any other applications expressing interest. This is a 3-year reappointment.
I move we appoint Helen Finman and Brian Gruber to the terms, for the term of Planning and Zoning Commission. Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes. Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
The Zoning Board of Adjustment, Bruce Oliver's term expired June of 2019. He has expressed interest in reappointment. We have not received any other applicants expressing interest. This is a 5-year term.
Motion to take Bruce Oliver.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
And the Mexico Park Board, Kathy Hopkins, Terry Hennig, Jim Korf's term expired June of 19. And we just received notice that Adam Henderson has resigned his position. This is a city manager's appointment, but I would ask council to concur with my recommendations that we reappoint Ms. Hopkins and Mr. Hennig for a 3-year term. We need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
And for a new 3-year term, I would recommend Lindsay Insgrig to the 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Yes.
Miller. Shivers.
Yes.
And then we have an unexpired term on the board that would end in June of 21, and I'd recommend Ashley Kryling be appointed to the unexpired term.
So moved.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
And that is all the appointments we have this evening, Your Honor.
Okay. Now we're ready for the claims.
Move we approve the claims, pay the claims.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Okay, now for council comments. Ms. Briggs, go ahead.
I don't think I really have any. I just enjoyed the nice change in weather, that's all.
Me too. Mr. Nichols?
I had the privilege of attending the Relay for Life. I think the crowd was down, but the spirit was up. And I found out we have a songbird on the city council.
Who would that be?
That would be our mayor here to sing.
I've heard she's good.
She's phenomenal. She's so good, I offered to do it with her, and she ran the other way.
I did not. Don't tell tales.
It was a very, very good night. So, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
You made the city proud.
What did you sing?
Beautifully Broken, Hero,
But just
and I'm a
do it for
Survivor.
us.
No. No.
That's all I got. That's all yours.
I'd just like to say I attended Crows at Presser Hall, another fine production by our stars in Mexico. And I'm sure it was well received by all the ladies that were there. A little late for me. And same, I walked up to see the Relay for Life, and there was lots of activity up there. But I think, as you said, it seemed a little smaller than before, but it was good. It was good.
Mr. Slater?
I have nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Well, obviously I was at Relay for Life. It was also good seeing that same weekend quite a few people in town from MMA, their alumni. And we had lunch with the mayor this past weekend. Had a really nice turnout, and it's a pretty good crowd and conversation. So also appreciate Chad for agreeing to meet with some people on October 19th. So thank you.
Is that your
That's
next
okay.
one, October 19th?
No, my next one, I'm still deciding which date in October will be on. It's looking like the 30th, but it might be the week before. And at this time, the floor is open to the public. Anyone have anything to say, please state your name and address for the record, and keep comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Okay.
Guess I don't.
None?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.